Hi everyone. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about decimal data type in Apex. A decimal data type variable can store a number with a decimal point. The difference between integer and decimal is it can store a number with no decimal point, whereas decimal data type can store a number with a decimal point. Let's see how it works. The format is very simple. We define the data type, which is decimal. We define the variable name, which is sum here, and we can simply display the value of this variable. So initially this value is going to be null, like we did in case of integer as well, right? This value was coming out to be null. Now we can also assign one decimal value to this variable. By decimal I mean it can have a point, for example 1.0. So this is a decimal value, and then we are displaying that value as well in the logs. Then I increase the decimal value to 1.01, and then I'm displaying that. So first of all, let's execute the code till here and let's see how it works. If you see, initially the value of some decimal variable is coming out to be null because we haven't assigned any value to this variable. Then the value of some decimal variable is 1.0 because we assigned 1.0 to this variable, and then the value of some decimal variable is coming out to be 1.01 because we assigned a new value to this variable, which is 1.01. We can also assign a very long decimal number to this particular variable. In order to test the limit, I tried putting up as many numbers as I can. So if you see, in this number, I'm having 48 characters, or I can say 48 numbers after the decimal. And in this, I am having 48 characters before the decimal, right? Because I'm having the decimal point here. Let's execute this and let's see if it works fine or not. So I'm going to execute the whole code from top till here. So if you see, first one is null, then 1.0, 1.01. Then it is coming out till 1 point and then all the characters till 9. And then here also it is coming minus 1, 2, 3 up till 0.9. However, this is the limit. If I try to add one more digit here, for example 0, this will not work. Let's execute this code once again. Now if you see, I'm getting an error saying that illegal decimal. So I can have at max 48 digits after or before the decimal in a decimal number. There is a help article provided by Salesforce as well, which I want to show you. Let's move on to that. This help article says data type number field can store more decimal places than defined. So what happens is when you are creating a number field in Salesforce, you have the option to provide the number of decimal places that you want to keep, right? So this help article is talking about that. Let's say if you create a number field and if you give it a length as 3 and decimal places as 1, it might seem to you that you want to have only one decimal place. But if you type, let's say this particular number, which is 237.631, and then you click save, it will display only 237.6 in the UI, but it will store the whole number in the database. This article also specifies that SFDC will let you store up to 24 decimal points via the API. That means in a decimal field, or I can say in a number field, you can store up to 24 decimal points. However, in the variable, we already checked that we can store up to 48 decimal points. That's all I wanted to tell you about the field. Now let's try one more thing, which we tried earlier as well. Earlier we tried assigning a boolean to an integer variable, right? So this time we can try assigning integer to a decimal variable. Let's see what happens. I'm going to execute the whole code from here till here. Now if you see, initially null, then 1.0, 1.01, then this whole decimal number, then this whole decimal number, and then the value of some decimal variable is coming as 1, 2, 3. This means that you can also assign integer to a decimal variable. That is fine. Therefore, even if you don't have a decimal here, it is okay. You can assign an integer to a decimal variable. Now let's try assigning a boolean and let's see if this is allowed as well. Now I'm getting an error which is saying illegal assignment from boolean to decimal. So usually in general, value of one data type cannot be assigned to value of another data type. But in some cases it's allowed. For example, you can assign an integer to a decimal variable. That's all for this tutorial. In this tutorial, we learned about decimal data types. And this was the last tutorial where I'm covering one data type in one particular video. In the next video, we'll speed up a little bit and we'll cover multiple data types. We'll cover double, long, date, date time, and time data type as well in detail. That's all for this video. I'll see you next time.